Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason, happy Friday. Yeah, we've made it through another week. We've got a lot to discuss today as the gold and silver markets are roaring as well. They've decided the policy, as we know. How weak can the dollar go? How high can inflation get? We're going to find out. We are going to find out. 800-951-0592. Sit back, relax, strap on your seatbelt because it is going to be a wild, wild ride the next 2 hours as we try to figure out exactly what is happening and going to happen. In the next segment, we'll play a clip from the guy that I tell you to always pay attention to, Jeffrey Gundlach, and he is talking about the dollar, gold, and where to put your money and where not to put it. That will be coming up in the next segment, but very quickly, House Republicans are introducing a bill that would end the dual mandates of the Federal Reserve and concentrating primarily on containing inflation, right? Oh, my, what? Of course, they have no intentions of doing it, but listen, here it is. Now, I don't know how far. Now, this is being led by French Hill. He's from Arkansas. He also is the head of the Financial Service Committee. So he's the chairman of the committee. So this isn't Thomas Massey or Rand Paul here. He's in a very important position for too long. The Federal Reserve has been stretched between competing objectives. It is time to return to a clear, singular focus, protecting the wallets of American families by keeping inflation in check. Boy, does this sound good. Oh, we care about you, right? Of course, I've told you all along, they don't care. The Federal Reserve certainly doesn't care. And they proved that again when they cut rates this week. Of course, all of you will be, what, Joe? No, that was good. For who? For who? I guess it was good if you bought a house in the last, 3 years? Right? So maybe somebody can refinance. Maybe, right? Guess that was good. If you're going to buy a house or a car, maybe. But that's about it. That is really about it. How about if you save money? Well, that ain't good. Right? That's not good. In 1977, that is when Congress created this other mandate. And it was interesting. Right as inflation's running wild, right? We got to worry about employment too. They weren't even doing a very good job on the, quote, stable dollar policy, expanding its reach through unaccountable agreements or otherwise ill-defined third and fourth mandates. Wait. They only had 2. But, of course, people are like, wait a minute. Remember the bail-in? Remember they bailed out the bank in Japan? We've been bailing out. Well, listen, I shouldn't say we didn't bail out Japan. We didn't bail out Europe. Bailed out the banking system. That's what they did. Let's be clear on this. And they're talking about these international agreements and all these other things that the Fed does, right? Without any approval, without any consideration for how that may affect the common person. Now, Thomas Massey said he would support removing all mandates and just get rid of the Fed, right, Jason? Well, how about that one? No, they don't want to do that, but they're saying that I don't know at what point. They've done a terrible job since they've been in power, since 19th. They've done a horrible job. And yet, there's only one or two people in Congress even saying, hey, guys, let's go back. Let's get rid of these guys. Let's stop creating these boom and bust cycles, and let's stop attacking the middle class. You know what we're going to be left with? Jason says it all the time, right? Peasants and lords. Jason, if this keeps up, we'll keep you posted. I don't know how far this will get. I don't think it'll get very far. But it is interesting that they've decided that the mandate they want now is inflation. And why do I feel like this is just smoke and mirrors to say, well, we tried, right? We tried to get the Fed to do something, but it's not our fault.
Yeah. There's the end the Fed. You hear it once in a while, peeking out there, and my fear is that end the Fed turns into and replace it with. So we're not going to get anywhere. The system is in place, and if they need to be more popular, they'll act like they took a hit in the news, and then it'll just be to entrench them further. So I have no hope for anything getting better financially.
Yeah, well, there you go. Right? We'll see what happens. We'll be back. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason wrapping up the week here, and it has gotten, continued to be more and more interesting. The House, and again, this won't go anywhere, but just the fact, listen, they have been robbing us for a very long time. And I hate to say it, because you sit there and say, well, it's fine. Stocks are at all-time highs, so it's okay. It won't be at all-time highs forever. There's always the price to pay for reckless incompetence. And when you think about a deficit that's going to be $40 trillion, that's reckless incompetence. When you sit there and have inflation running, and again, your fake inflation running at 50% higher than what you say it should be, and doing it for years now, tells you the level of their incompetence. But as we look into the markets right now, the Dow's up 30 points. The S&P's up 3. The Nasdaq's up 47. What does the bond market think? Uh-oh. Up to 414 now. Oh, I don't know if you guys know this. The UK's got a bond problem again, as their deficit exploded higher. Matter of fact, 50% higher, 50% than what they were expecting. I mean, how do you miss things by this much? I don't know. Gold right now up 30, 36.75, and not done. This news broke in about the last 30 minutes here. Silver, up $1, 42.75, as it looks to close at a new high. By the way, TV gold back above 3,700. TV silver above $43. But Jason, everybody now worried about the lack of confidence globally in the debt markets. And of course, are we risking, when we sit here and we look at bond yields, that's one thing. But let's not forget the credit, right, and the junk bonds out there, right? We're starting to see very stretched now. We have a lot of real estate, commercial-wise, that still has to make its way through the system. How is all of this coming out? And it just feels like we're one misstep away from a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, almost feels like it's just planned. I don't know if I think it is planned. One step away. I mean, I can't tell the timing of it, Joe. We know that there's going to be an economic reckoning with the way that it's set up, but it's hard to tell the timing. You know, if the government's gonna inject all kinds of money here for a little while, it seems like they're making sure that the timing is a specific time. And so I've noticed with all this new money that just came flowing in, I've noticed some people seem like they're a little more happier about things. There's a few of the businesses that I saw, I've been hearing recently that have been doing really poorly. Suddenly they're getting some business again because they had that sugar high from this money coming in. And I know that the administration is going to try to get a couple more of these even before next year. Obviously, there's the midterms, right? But it's like taking a bucket and trying to get the water out of the boat with a huge leak in the bottom. At some point, the boat just ends up with too much water. You can't just throw buckets of water out forever. Eventually, there's too much in there, and you sink. And that's what I'm looking at, Joe. Is you can throw a whole bunch. You can throw a Band-Aid on it for a little while, but the dam is going to break, and it's going to be tremendous when it happens, Joe. I'm convinced what you're talking about is going to happen within the next couple of years. I don't know if it'll happen by next year, or if they have enough buckets of water to push it a little further. So we'll be on the air looking at it, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. But don't take my word for it. Jeff Gunlatch, in an interview with CNBC, talking about what it is. Now, remember, why is he important? Well, they do call him the Bond King, right? Why is he the Bond King? Well, because that's where he made his billions. And it's interesting to see exactly what it is that he believes is coming. Jack, let's play the clip for everybody.
I've often asked you as well, like, what does the perfect portfolio for the moment feel like? Have you been thinking more about that lately? And how would you answer that for our viewers who are thinking the same thing?
Yeah, I really haven't changed very much. I'm still think gold serves a purpose in portfolios. It's at a high level on a short-term basis, but the momentum is remarkable. I love it when a market goes up a lot and then instead of correcting, goes sideways for a while. And that's what gold did. It got up to about 3,300, and then it consolidated there, and now it's on up leg. I still think a 25% type of weighting in portfolios of gold is not excessive. I think that...
Really? 1/4 of one's portfolio in gold?
Yeah, I think it's not excessive, because I think that is an insurance policy, and it's in a winning mode because of the weaker dollar, and I believe that's going to continue. So a lot of my perfect portfolio concepts revolve around weaker dollar. So foreign stocks, European stocks make sense. I think some Asian stocks, ex-China would make sense, and you do it in local currencies. So I have a big anti-dollar theme that's going through things. And like I said, for bond portfolios, I think local currency emerging markets, I think having 10% there makes some sense. I would have probably 40% in stocks, mostly, if not entirely, non-U.S., as I've suggested.
Even with the AI theme and the trend of where that is, the tremendous advancements that are taking place, you wouldn't have any exposure or such minimal exposure to U.S. stocks like those?
There's when new technologies come, there's the sky's the limit, but it gets priced in very quickly. And I use the analogy of electricity. In 1900, people started to realize that electricity was going to change the world, and they were right. And so there was a mania in electricity stocks that actually peaked out in 1911 before there was really widespread electrification. It was all priced in. And in fact, since 1911, if you look at U.S. stocks, everything other than electricity-oriented stocks, and then you just look at electricity stocks, the non-electricity has outperformed since 1911. So it gets priced in very, very early. And the AI build-out is enormous. But it seems a lot like kind of the fiber optic stuff back in the late 1990s, where it's very real, it's happening, it's going to be world-changing, but the markets are incredibly efficient at pricing things in and often overdo it. So I am not a momentum person at all, unless there's a fundamental reason. And momentum driving things to very high valuations, if there's one thing that makes me not sleep at night is owning stuff like that. And that's just...
Yeah. There's one thing that makes them not sleep at night, owning stuff. And of course, think about what he just said. First of all, it's impossible for you to follow if 10% of the portfolios in the United States went 25% gold. I don't know. Jason, what do you think the price should be? 20,000, right? I mean, it
would multiply so rapidly. And here's the thing: if it starts moving, we'll easily get another 2011 spike, Joe, on top of it.
Well, he reiterated gold's going to be $4,000 before the end of the year. Earlier in this, but a 25% allocation, no percent in the U.S. stock market because of a weakening dollar, significantly weaker dollar on top of, he says, listen, AI is going to change everything, but it's already, not only is it fully priced in, it's overpriced in, right? And he gave multiple. At first, he talked about electricity. Then he talked about fiber optic. Right. These are things that we've seen in the past, and this is what I worry about, because when the music stops, and it doesn't matter if it's a bond market hiccup, whatever it may be, when the music stops, it gets really painful, and we know every time the music stops, the pain increases, right? We had the 87 crash. Oh, that was painful. Then we had not Y2K, the tech bubble, right? That was more painful. Then we had the financial crisis. I mean, that was really painful. But, Jason, this is a whole nother level. And I'll be honest with you, I've never, ever, ever heard somebody, especially at the level that he is, saying 25% allocation to gold. And by the way, avoid the U.S. stock market. That's a hard thing to hear.
Well, and we're having a little bulge in asset prices. And what I heard him say is that this is a good place to be because other assets aren't they're already priced in. The exuberance is in, and you got to be careful where it's going to go. And he doesn't seem too excited about these asset prices staying up, which is what I said in the last segment, Joe. Is we got an uptick here. We got the sugar highs coming in, but that wears off fast. You need better food to be healthy, and right now better food would be gold. That's where you want to hold it to watch and see where the rocky waters of this economy goes here soon. And then, do like we've encouraged our customers to do, hey, if you find something that's worth selling your gold and putting it into, do that, right, Joe? And also, if you have a minor or major emergency, you'll have it right when you need it, and you don't have to go through a broker giving you the nth degree of guilt that you're going to have penalties if you pull this out, and you're going to have taxes, and you shouldn't do this. It's going to kill your retirement. At least with gold, Joe, physical gold, you can bring it to us. I ain't going to read you the guilt trip. I'm going to say congratulations, Dylan. I'm glad you had it for this.
Yeah, and again, I think this is just something when we start looking at like we talked about yesterday, guys, there was no good choice here, right? There was no good choice. The world knows there's no good choice. Now we have to deal with what is it that they are going to do, right? And they're going to weaken the dollar. How do they weaken the dollar? They lower rates. What does that do? It actually creates inflation. That's what it's supposed to do, right? And spur, right? It wants to. What do they want to achieve when they lower rates? Have you ever really thought about it? Here's what they want you. They want you to borrow money. That's what they want. Hey, if we make money cheaper, maybe you'll borrow some, right? That's the objective. Which just means what? Well, we're trying to increase consumption, which does what? Well, it makes inflation go, right? Yeah. Jeff Gunlatch knows it. I know it. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason wrapping up this Friday. I thought it was going to be, a quiet Friday. We got the Fed rate cut. We whatever spin you wanted to put on it, I guess you could, right? Oh, hey, they cut the rates. And by the way, one more person said than the other said that they're going to cut twice more. And Jay Powell just, what could he have done? Right? He's in a no-win situation. And now news breaking that and this is just, I want to be wrong, but I don't think I am. This just feels like nonsense coming out of Congress. We should end the dual mandate and just focus in on inflation. And President Trump has made it very clear that is not the objective. Right? Matter of fact, he's putting people in the Fed that is not their objective. Mirren, the guy that just got appointed, guess what? He voted, he was a nay on the 25 basis rate cut. Not because he was concerned about inflation. The exact opposite. He voted no, Jason, because he wanted 50 basis points, not 25.
Yeah, I was wondering if we would see more than 25, and I still think
I would say this. I was surprised that there wasn't more talk about the 50 basis points. One of the things Jay Powell said is pretty much it was pretty universal with the one exception, and we knew who that exception was. But there really wasn't a lot of talk from the rest of the Fed members about 50 basis points, and definitely no clear signal how many more rate cuts they're going to have between now and the end of the year.
Well, when they rose the rates a couple years ago, they were talking about raising them a lot faster because the inflation was so bad already, right? And they still started low, and then they went up. And they went. I think they got up to 0.75 of a point on one of the rate hikes, and then they tapered it back down. And it was kind of a nice little slow. It made it look like it was well measured. So maybe the rate cuts will be the same, Joe. Maybe it's a 0.25 point, maybe one more 0.25 point. Then it's 50, right? Before it goes back down to a 0.25 point rate reduction.
Right.
Then they can say, well, we were well measured. We took our time. We really looked at this. Because
well measured, yeah, well measured.
We know they've had those emergency cuts in the past, and so I'm wondering. I'm pretty sure they want to be the thing in the news that doesn't have any emergency. Look at how the news is right now; everything's an emergency. So they want to make sure that all attention's not on this thing. There's no emergency here. We're well measured. Everything's going to be nice and calm. And then if things go bad economically, they'll say, "Well, we were well measured. we were in control. Everything was great. I can't believe that Venezuela blew up like that. That's not our fault. And then something happened in Ukraine, and China did this, and another guy got assassinated on live television. So that wasn't our fault, right? Right? We just financed it is all.
Right? I don't know. It's oh man. Well, I hate being right sometimes. You know, and it takes a while for it to happen, right? It feels like a long time, but listen, 2 and 3 years isn't long. You know, when this whole nonsense started, when Biden was in office, and okay, the whole COVID, whatever you want to call that, whole COVID shenanigans, listen, that was nothing more than a big giant cover-up to spend more money than the world has ever seen before. It was ridiculous. And here's the sad part. The parts we heard about, that was the chump change. That was the chump change. Right? It was all the stuff we didn't hear about. Now, I do like the fact that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and some of these Republicans, at least in this thing that's going nowhere, was like, yeah, well, we're not real comfortable with all of the, and I'll call it shenanigans, right? Where again, you can make an argument. Listen, if the Fed didn't bail out the banks, our banks in 07 and 08, they didn't bail out the Japanese banks, the European banks, right? It would have been bad, guys. It would have been bad. But guess what? At least we could have had a chance at a healthier system. Instead, they tried to hit the easy button, which is create more debt and not tell anybody. I mean, we'll tell them just 12 years later. Because when we file Freedom of Information Act requests, they'll go to the courts. Oh, no, this is, we can't tell them. We can't tell them. I mean, already, why do they get 2 years before they have to tell us? That seems asinine to begin with, but they do. Then they just go to the court. Oh, you know what? It'd be detrimental. It'd be bad if they knew what we really did. And next thing you know, the court goes, okay, well, how about another 10 years? Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, great. We'll tell them later. Well, guess what? Later's here. Jeff Gunglat says you better have 25% of your portfolio in gold. How many of you got that? Probably. Well, some of you do. And I worry when the guys are like, that is my portfolio. I always worry. You shouldn't put all of your money in any one place. Having said that,
a lot of people have property too. I mean, there's,
I hope right.
A lot of people. Some people have cash at home. And cash isn't the best asset to have, but it is the most liquid. But yeah, you're right. I don't like having my money in too many assets because I don't trust a lot of those assets, and I don't like the way that you have to maneuver inside those assets. One of the reasons I think people that buy gold from us are heavy in gold is because it's just easy, Joe, and it's mostly it's private and in your control.
Today is going to be the last day. $20 gold pieces at $37.75, assuming we're going to be opening up Monday at or near all-time record highs.
Record highs.
Right now.
Record highs.
Right now. I hope you take advantage and get in. Well, it's still below 4,000. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. And again, it's hard to hear that kind of stuff that Jeff Gunglat was talking about. But you know why, right? And I know that they talked some AI But you heard him say when valuations get this high, and of course he thinks, hey, AI is going to change the world to a certain extent, like a lot of other things in the past. And he kind of feels like it's overpriced. But then the rest of the market, right, when he starts talking valuations, he's like, yeah, don't have any exposure. Jason, that's a hard thing to hear, right? That's a really hard thing to hear. And I think why he's saying it is simple. They had no good choice. They made a decision, and that decision tells him, get out of the U.S. stock market and get into gold. I mean, those were the big things. Of course, then when you say, well, you know what? Hey, if you want to buy stocks, buy foreign stocks, not Chinese stocks. Why? Because, well, he expects China and the United States to continue to have issues when it comes to what's happening on globally. And, of course, China's been moving really big into gold. And now they're saying that this talk again about China using gold and using it to combat dollar dominance, talk about the tokenizing of gold in Hong Kong, talking about possibly creating a gold stable coin in Hong Kong, and this just kind of creates the next level, right? It's something that we thought would happen at some point in time, and now it looks like they already know. I think we're seeing part of the plan unveil itself, right? Because I think all nations, okay, this fiat thing's going to blow up any second now, right? And by any second, that's probably, 2 to 4 years? And anywhere, well, I would say anywhere from now to, say, 3 or 4 years. Somewhere in that time frame, it's going to fall apart. It is going to be a sovereign debt crisis, I think, globally. And I think we're seeing this groundwork being laid all over the place. And obviously, we knew what BRICS was up to. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. They've been buying gold and buying lots of it and lying about it. We know digital is here. Look at what Trump's doing with all this stuff. We keep telling you, we've got the two winners here. Gold and silver, Texit, right? We've got the two winners for you. But it does look like more and more steps, Jason, are being taken for what comes next when it comes to how we're going to view money in the future.
Everybody that's listening should take an active interest in where your assets are. I'm always baffled by the disinterest some people have at how they're making their money. You really have to be active.
Yeah, you know what baffles me? They see it. Well, let me call my financial guy. And no, right? And then they do nothing. Even though they know what they're seeing, and they for whatever reason, they can't, if you don't stand up for your own financial well-being, no one's going to do it for you. That is not going to happen. And again, we are in a very dangerous position. And it highlights that everybody knows we shouldn't have cut rates. We shouldn't have. But everybody also knew we have to cut rates, right? I mean, right, Jay? I mean, that was the situation, right? That was it.
Yeah, well, once again, I'll keep going back to it. The huge spending package that was passed means you lower the rates, right? It's quantitative easing is coming. It doesn't have to be directly from the Fed giving it to the government, right? Look, anytime the government spends money, the money is being made by the Fed. So the big, beautiful bill, the biggest bill ever. And we got 2 more coming. Maybe.
Well, listen, next week, that'll be the last week before a government shutdown. What are they going to do? Are they going to kick the can down the road? Probably, right?
Wait a minute. Is that how far the big, beautiful bill got us? Was till
no,
next week?
Big, beautiful bill. They need to pass a budget.
Right.
So
why didn't
we've
they have
been
that
running on. We've been running on continuing resolutions for a year now. So
why didn't they just take care of that?
It's almost laughable.
Well, I guess it wasn't big enough and beautiful enough to take care of that. Why can't they just roll it?
No, that was not the. That's what I keep.
Why didn't they just roll it all together? Does anyone even care?
That wasn't all the spending. That was just part of it, right? That was the tax cuts, right?
Can't we just put it all in the blender and blend it all together and have it in one pot? I mean, what does it really matter at this point? Hide behind it. Like, come on.
It's like making salsa, right? You just throw a bunch of crap in there, blend it all up. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, that means we're going to spend more money. That means we're going to have more. We need more rate cuts soon. Right. More rate cuts.
Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason wrapping up this Friday. $20 gold. Yeah, probably last day here. $36.75. Or I'm sorry, $37.75. Spot is $36.75 and rising. Boy, silver, here it comes, man. Wow. Silver's almost $43.
It's moving.
Silver Eagles are over $1,000.
Not as fast as I thought it would move, but it's still really quick.
Moved way, well, you know what? Way more responsible this time. It's actually scarier this way, right? Because it didn't take these $5 jumps. It's just been, nope, I'm gonna go up $1, consolidate it a little bit. Go up another $1, consolidate a little bit. Go up another $1, consolidate a little bit. It just.
Gold might be 3,700 on Monday, maybe, huh?
Yeah, I know. $20 gold, $37.75 at 800-951-0592. Text it. I don't know what to say. I mean, almost 900 new miners yesterday. We're at some ridiculous number already today.
It's over 28,000 miners.
400 miners already today. It's not even 9 o'clock. Way over 28,000. It's already been the biggest week in Texas history. And we're still got all of the rest of Friday and Saturday to go. Guys, this mine is not going to be open much longer. I'll just say this. The amount of, I am the largest peer payment provider in Texas by far. What does that mean? You guys can pay me with a check, with gold and silver, with cash, and I will pay Texas on your behalf. That may be coming to an end.
Oh.
So if you want to get in and you want to write checks and you want to do it ASAP. ASAP. I won't have any more details to give you until Monday. But this has been in the works for a while. I've been doing everything in my power to delay it. But now with this mega list, we're going to sign up 1,000 miners a day. I mean, we'll be at 30,000 before Monday, right? I mean, 30,000 miners. We're going to be at 50,000 miners. Probably, I was saying in the middle of October, we may beat that. It may not be even that long. I hope. I know a lot of you, for whatever reason, didn't want, let it go a little farther, wanted to see more, see how it works. And I had a great call today. So I had a guy that he bought $30,000 worth of gold today with his Texit. And he said to me, Joe, you said to me that I'd have my money back before the end of the year. He goes, I'm so far past that. And he goes, I want to buy $30,000 worth of gold with some of my Texit. And I said, yep, you sure can. Happy to do it for you. For those of you that haven't gotten in yet, this window's closing and it may get a lot harder come Monday, so get it done today.